Okay, we back. We in Exodus 12th chapter. The Most High has given us, when the first of the year is in the springtime. He told us on the 10th day. In verse 3 it says, in Exodus 12:3 it says, "Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb." So this is the Passover. Where? In the house. "Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day, from the 10th day to the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it." I'm going to read it again. "And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the door, two side posts," put it on the two side posts, "and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it." The houses where they shall eat it. We in our house. This is Passover. We in our house. "And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, no leaven in the bread, unleavened bread, no yeast, and with bitter herbs shall they eat it." This is the meal. "Eat not it raw, nor sodden that all with water," can't boil it, "but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof." See, with the purtenance thereof. "And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning." So you got to discard everything if you have anything left. "And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire." Get rid of it. This is the order. "And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste." Eat fast. "And it is the Most High's Passover." Where? In the house. In the house. Not in no building, but in the house. "It's the Most High's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods or the idols of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Most High. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are." Upon the houses where ye are. We in our house. Not in no temple, not in no synagogue. Ain't nowhere but being in our house. "The blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are." I'm going to read it again. "And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Most High throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses, no yeast out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Gonna kill you. And in the first day thereof there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you." So it said, "And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread." That's when we come together. "And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this self same day have I brought you your armies out of the land of Egypt. We not coming out on the 14th. We came out on the 15th, the next day. Not the 14th, but the next day. That's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But in this self same day that we looking at our salvation, like we looking for our salvation in this time, but in this self same day have I brought you your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day. Read it again. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. Therefore shall you observe this day. What day? And ye shall observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the 15th of the first month. The Passover is on the 14th, where we in our houses, and supposed to be in our houses. And the next day, the 15th, you come together, you assemble yourselves together for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Remember the day of salvation, the day of deliverance, he's saying. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. They're going to take him away. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. Kill the Passover. And he's describing them because that's what he told, Moses told us to do, to observe this, you know. Put the blood over the doorposts, and when the death angel come by and see it, he's going to let them, you know, slide. But on the Egyptians, verse 28, verse 27, that ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Most High's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote or killed the Egyptians and delivered our houses, not temples or synagogues or churches, delivered our houses. And the people bowed their head in worship. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Most High had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass that at midnight, as we in our house, the Most High smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night heat, and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was great cry in Egypt. But there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve the Most High as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people. They were to hurry, get them out of here, get them out of here, that they might send them out of the land in haste. But they said, we be all dead men. Say he gonna kill all of us. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they bought of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment coming up. And the Most High gave the people favor in the sight of Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians, robbed the Egyptians. So how you going to borrow something that you never ever going to be able to see them again to give it back? But that's the word that they have now, borrow. Didn't mean that then. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot. that were men beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt. But it was not leavened. That's the Most High told us we had to have unleavened bread 7 days. Because they were thrust out of Egypt, didn't have time for the bread to rise, and could not tarry, couldn't stay there. Neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And we wasn't in captivity no 430 years now. Understand this, overstand this. Because when it came to pass at the end of the 400, we were in Egypt 430 years, but we wasn't in Egypt, captivity no 430 years. Because we ruled Egypt as the shepherd kings, his host kings. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Most High went out from the land of Egypt. See? That's the 15th day. But we're supposed to be celebrating, coming together, for the deliverance. Remember the deliverance that the Most High delivered us. Let me show you that we weren't in captivity. Let me ask you a question. We as the children of Israel, are we mighty now? Are we so mighty that we can say we mighty? Or are we still in the grips of our oppressor that determine whatever we can have, whatever we can do? But listen what it says in Exodus 1 and 7. Exodus, the first chapter, 7 verse. Now we in Egypt. It says, because it says in verse 1, now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob, right? And so Joseph died. Joseph was there before us, and all his brethren and all that generation. Verse 7, and the children of Israel were fruitful, meaning we had a lot of children, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty. See? Exceeding mighty. Not just mighty, but waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them, with us as Israelites. See? So we were ruling for at least 4 dynasties. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. See? Joseph was right under the Pharaoh. So when Pharaoh died, what you think? He ruled. We had came in there, he invited his daddy and mama and his brethren to come into Egypt. So when Pharaoh passed, he gave it down to Joseph. But here comes this new king over Israel, which knew not Joseph. Joseph gone now. Now you know he had been gone. We were ruling. Waxing exceeding mighty? Yeah. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of Israel, the children of Israel, are more and mightier than we. More and mightier than we. That's look, the king of Egypt said, we're more and mightier than him. So we was ruling. But see, the problem is, we go into places and the Most High said, learn not the way of the heathen. So we learn the way of the heathen. So the Most High said, okay, you're going to learn the way. All you need is meat. No, they got idols and everything. You're going to follow all those things just like it is now. Ain't nothing new. Most says, okay, I'm going to bring you down. Come and let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when they're fallen out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters when we went into captivity at this time, to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Python and Ramses. See? But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. See? They hated us. But it's all right, because just like we were able to leave Egypt and had all their possessions. Like I said, we borrowed their possessions. Look what it says in Obadiah 17, book right after Amos. But upon Mount Zion, upon the 12 tribes of Israel, shall be deliverance. That means salvation, powers and authority. And there shall be holiness. And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Who's he talking about? Go to verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, the prophet. Thus say the Most High Power concerning Edom. We're going to own and possess their possessions, as it was in a probably. What did the Most High say? 2 Ezra 15 and 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. That's the Most High. And smite Egypt with plagues as before. We read about the plagues that the Most High smited the Egyptians with. As before. We read about these plagues tonight. As before. And will destroy all the land thereof. You see? So, that's promise. That's prophecy. So I hope that was edifying. I'm going to continue, though, because I'm just really getting warmed up. But join me in our class tomorrow, and we'll continue this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know, and we'll deal with it. And with that, I'm out. Shalom.